Hey, Zoe, welcome to InnSync Show. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to talk to you, Cory.
Kicking off this week, Monday, with an exciting topic. I'm sure there's going to be a little passion going on with this subject, and we're going to talk about prospecting 2.0, which probably really nobody, I have no idea what that means. So I can't think of anybody better to tee this up with. You've got Zoe Koumbouzi, and she is a LinkedIn expert for travel and hospitality. She is also a gain advisor, and she's a fractional CMO. So welcome to the show, Zoe.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure to be here. I love what you do on LinkedIn. That's how we met. So very appropriate. We should be talking about Prospect 2.0.
Nice. Love it. So I'm going to jump right in here so we can get right to it. And we're going to discuss, what is prospecting 2.0 anyways?
Yeah. When I was thinking about that question, this image popped up in my mind because when I was a young teenager, one of my first jobs was actually cold calling people. So when we talk about 2.0, that was like 0. And we literally would sit in a room, all these teenagers, and you and I know what the Yellow Pages is, but for anybody who doesn't, it was a big book with everybody's phone number in it. And they would rip out chunks of it and just plop it down on each desk. And that was prospecting, right? That was literally cold calling going down the list. Fast forward to today, and you've got many global sectors, the UK, for example, that is absolutely impossible to get somebody over the phone. Like,
Totally.
you cannot, and that's probably the fault of people like me in the 1990s, for sure, that approach. But you cannot get through. There are gatekeepers you cannot get. So prospecting 2.0 for me is about, how do we get in front of those decision makers? How do we get our brand known by the people who hold the purse strings and who make the decisions when we don't have that kind of access to them anymore? So prospecting 2.0 for me is about awareness. It's about brand awareness. It's about getting your educational content out there. It's about getting people to know you and actually come to you, because that can happen, and it does happen.
Beautiful. You actually hit on one of my favorite quotes. It's actually in my discovery deck, and it is, sales is a lot easier and actually more fun when people already know who you are. And you right on the head. This whole notion in HubSpot was way before their time. We jumped on the inbound way. There was something about the whole concept of inbound marketing, which is actually now, ironically, inbound sales, that when you educate, you inspire, and you build trust through your prospects online, they naturally come to you as a trusted advisor instead of you pushing yourself on them, which now translates into people being very annoyed because you're disrupting their day. They don't want to hear what you have to say. And now 80% of what was sales is now marketing. Me, you, and everybody else, including the salespeople that are still trying to do it the old way, they want to start the sales process them first. And then they want to be able to reach out on their own accord. And that's one of the reasons I really, and I don't know if you're familiar with the whole concept of they ask, you answer, Marcus Sheraton. We've really leaned into that whole concept of sales is really easy when you literally help answer and guide the prospect's questions when they're asked. It's not a mystery. But this whole notion of, as sales people 1.0, we've controlled that process. We're going to force them onto a discovery call or book a demo call. We just don't buy that way. And I had mentioned before, it's ironic and saddening that when they become the buyer, they don't want to go down that path either. Why is it so difficult for sellers in the hospitality space, on the vendor space? They're doing the same thing that annoys them when they're being pitched to. So why do you think it's so difficult to have that aha moment and go, it's not working? And I get it, because it's not working on me either, but I still see a lot of disconnect there.
Okay. Unpopular opinion coming up.
Nice. Love it.
So it's sad sometimes as a marketer that you have these amazing products, you have these amazing vendors, you have so much time, effort, money goes into it. And you've got your marketing department, okay, and you've got your strategy, you've got messaging, your positioning, hopefully, and everything in order. And then you get your intern to do your LinkedIn. Like, I think it's a myopic view, because from the inside of the company, it all feels very go, and we're here, we're there, we've got this amazing product. And from the outside of the company, what people are seeing is your marketing. So why is marketing not given more investment, more importance? And don't get me wrong, some companies are doing that, and they do have huge departments, and they definitely don't put their interns on LinkedIn, but a lot do. And I think this is a massive oversight of the community, because LinkedIn is literally your portal to other people, and you cannot be leaving that to just in a byway. It's just an afterthought. It's, put some LinkedIn posts together and just get them out there. That's when you get a LinkedIn company page with no strategy. That's when you get all your staff having different banners and different titles, and they don't know when your posts are coming out, and they don't support your posts, and they're not in line with company strategy, or they've got an outreach campaign which might be a bit aggressive and not actually in line with the way you want your sellers to sell. It's a very unorganized, unstrategic approach to something which is very public. And I think that is a mistake. And I think there's a disconnect. They're not quite getting it. That is the public face of the company. Although when you say it like that, it's extremely obvious. That's why I hate to say it, and I'm not going for one company in particular. I think it's a problem across a large part of the industry.
I could not agree with you more, and which is a great segue into what would be a great upgrade to their strategy. And to supplement that, what are things to avoid, by the way?
A great strategy, as any marketing strategy, is not a one size fits all. You need to consider with that specific vendor, for example, what educational content can they actually provide? Do they have bandwidth to make data studies? Like when I was working at Review Pro, we had these huge guest experience data studies. They were amazing. They were educational. They were genuinely for the industry. They had a lot of traction. Not all companies have the bandwidth to do that. But what do they have? Can they do blogs? Do they have somebody that they can put on social media strategy? On the other end, what's your partnership marketing like? Social media is inherently social. If you can get together with other partners, partnership marketing is not just about getting access to somebody else's email list to make a really successful webinar. It's about that daily or weekly interaction with people that will support you and not your competitors, and will actually promote your content and you'll promote theirs. That's another way. So you've got educational content, partnership marketing, client shout outs are fantastic. But again, all of this stuff has to be properly coordinated. It's not, when I'm talking about shout outs to client, it's not just a spammy post with mentioning all your clients in a row. It's outreaching to those specific people and saying to them, hey, this post is going to come out on this day and could you support it? And it takes strategy and a bit of foresight and a bit of organization, just like any strategy. So I think you need to take into account what resources the company's got, what contacts it's got, what is their sales targets for 2025. Are your sales targets in line with your LinkedIn demographic? Very simple. If not, maybe you do need some paid ads. I don't know, Asia's a target market, but your demographics is all in the US. Okay, let's get some paid ads out in Asia. It's a microcosm to itself, just like digital marketing, but it has its own nuances and it needs to be treated like that. When it comes to don't sell in every post. It undervalues a company to say, our product this and our product does that and this is fabulous and that's fabulous. People see through that and they start to become blind to your messaging anyway. Plus, if you haven't worked on truly educational and social posts to increase your engagement, your awareness and your reach, you're speaking into the ether. You may have loads and loads of followers. I hope you do, and that's great. But if you're not engaged with them, if not engaged with your posts, it's not even going to come up on their feed. So it's absolutely pointless just putting out product posts every day. So I recommend, if you do product posts at all, and actually you don't need to at all, because just being educational and being engaged in the market shows that you're a good provider, then they can go to your website, they can have a look, they can speak to one of your sales team. But what you want to put out is just educational content supporting the industry. Okay. And then people will start to trust you. And as we know, trust is the operative word here. We want high trust within the industry. We want to become a no-brainer. We want to become that platform that when people think of PMS or RMS or guest experience, we're the one person that comes up when we think of that. We are so highly associated with that term that we're the no-brainer, right? So yeah, don't post about your product all the time. Don't use AI. Honestly, it is so obvious. There are so many great content writers out there that you can get to work on posts. Posts are fairly economical as well. It's not a big push. It's not a data study. Get some professionals on your public profile. And plus, at the moment, I don't think it's happening, but it's not going to be far in the future where I'm pretty sure AI written anything is going to be penalized. So just like your blog on your website, just like anything else, the less AI you're using, for me, the better.
Beautiful. I'm going to add a little bit to that. Those are some great, you're not going to get any disagreement from me there at all. And I'm going to back that up one step further and say what I see a lot in the industry, and even getting back from that hospitality show that we did, and I was trying to look through my time on the floor as a buyer. I still see far too many suppliers and vendors, and it's great to see the trade shows, because literally trade shows is, you're getting a double dose of what their value proposition is, right? And I can't tell you how overloaded I am with feature dumping. I just see features and it's just absolutely, it's blah. I have no idea. I could get myself in a situation and understand how overloaded some of these buyers are. Classic problem with most vendors I see is they're not leading with how to solve their prospects' problems. They're starting with features and benefits that no one gives a shit about. They don't care about features and benefits. They've got acute pain, and it's on deaf ears because they're not leading with what matters to their prospect. They're leading with matters to them and not to their prospect, and it's being ignored. It starts with their website. It starts with all their content. I still go to website blogs, and it's all about them. It's about release this, or we've won our awards, and it's all the stuff that nobody cares about. And it's oftentimes very difficult when founders, CEOs are so emotionally invested in what they've invented. Everybody's going to be excited about our product and our service because we think it's so awesome they can't possibly resist it. And that is that whole ego is, and for so many people to put that in check and say, we've developed something that is going to literally save thousands, and it usually boils down to a revenue element, right? You have to, that's how you get the attention of most people in hospitality and pretty much every other industry in this business. You need to lead with that so you get their attention. It's like, I'm dealing with that same problem. 90% of what I see out there, they're failing on those levels altogether. Yes, you have your enterprise level companies that have been doing it. What's the Salesforce of the hospitality industry? They don't necessarily need to deal with that. But if you're new to market and you're trying to enter by doing the same old prospecting 1.0, pushing your shit on the industry that nobody cares about, it's going to be a total bust. So lead with value, lead with what matters to your prospects, give them a self-educating buyer's journey. It's no longer a sales journey, it's a buyer's journey now. Let the prospects educate themselves. And please, let's talk about pricing. Still no pricing anywhere on that.
Never any pricing.
Oh my, no one wants to contact sales ever, for crying out loud. So those are my rants. And the one thing that I want to say to avoid, don't do what annoys you when you get pitched.
So true.
Look through your spam folder and go, this is all crap. But if you're doing the same thing, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So just don't do the things or lean into the things that got your attention. Put yourself in your prospect's shoes. And I know it sounds obvious, but sometimes it's not all that easy to execute. Some good stuff there, Zoe. Can you share? Everybody wants to talk about results, right? What are the results? What's the ROI? So what kind of ROI or results have you been seeing when companies really embrace this notion of inbound? And I'm not saying all inbound, but a healthy mix. When you got both things firing, you're crushing it, right? So can you share some success stories with us?
Yeah, I mean, love everything you just said, by the way. I think as an aside, we have a lot of great marketers in our industry who are very capable of making new and updated messaging and positioning for all these amazing companies that are coming up and that deserve to have a piece of the pie. There really is some great innovation in our industry. So I'm hoping that these companies will innovate and will come across with new messaging and will be very client-centric rather than trying to be carbon copies of the bigger companies that have already got their place and have got that kind of that legacy, and then they're going to have that brand equity that's going to last for a long time. So let's hope that comes through. And I agree with you as well that I went to a trade fair myself last week, the week before, and it is difficult for me, having been on the vendor side and now marketing the vendor side, to understand what a lot of them are saying, let alone a hotelier. And I'm in contact with people, it's like daily on LinkedIn. I look at their profiles, I look at the companies they're working for, and I don't know what they're selling. I have to actually really think about what space they're in within hospitality tech. And you're an RMS basically, but you didn't want to say that. Okay, got it.
We're different.
It is. There's a lot of messaging. It's people want to say things sometimes in such a new way that it gets away from what you're solving. Let's be clear in our messaging. Let's use colors that are not blue.
By the way, I'm bummed that Muse went away from their fun color scheme and went to blue. I think it's blue now. What happened to the pink trailers? I'm sorry, I don't want to.
I know you pink as well.
What happened? They went soft on us.
Let's make a petition.
Yes.
So results. So I have got some results. I actually published them last week, which was
nice.
It was a good one. I've been working with a small company in the travel tech space since about last October. So we're talking results that are coming 3.5, 4 months after implementing a strategy. And up until then, they'd been very much, we're at this event, this is a bit about us, and a lot of reposting, which is people, by the way, don't repost people. This reposting is just giving it's good to repost if you want to do somebody a favor, but it doesn't help your brand, let's say. So keep it in check. And I went in there and we had a good strategy session, and we tried a few different things. They've got in-house experts. So we did special spots by their in-house experts on their area of expertise, which is fantastic, like little interviews, right?
Yeah.
And also, as I think anything that marketing can lead, it doesn't have to produce absolutely everything. You've got an entire company, sometimes thousands of people who are expert level in their field. Draw on those people, make it a company-wide effort. It's so much more fun to follow an account like that as well. So real voices, it can be different levels of the company, from engineering to product to customer success. Bring that all in. Also brought their client examples all in together. So instead of reposting, we're bringing them all together. We're giving shout outs. Those kind of things get a lot of traction as well. We're also looking to the industry for relevant to your brand industry examples, but it doesn't have to be written by your brand. So it doesn't have to be a blog written by your company, but it could be by a partner. It could be an industry trend that's relevant to you, that supports your messaging. And you can comment on that and you can repost that. Links always in the comments, please. But you can talk about that. And again, that just shows that you are smart, connected. You're there to help and promote the industry. These kind of things can all really help. And then, of course, we've got something that works well time and time again, which is anything to do with people. Photos of your team, videos of your team, go to an event and do not lose that opportunity to take real photos with your team and with other people and make social media social again. By doing all that, we had some great results. We had a competitor, we had set up the competitors at the beginning. We actually found that they were now 79.16% better engagement than the next competitor, which is absolutely huge. We're talking about the reposts had gone off the hook. The follower growth was 3.51%. The industry average is 1.5 to 2. So we had 3.5% follower growth month on month. We had monthly engagement, which was 3.35. Industry average 2.5 to 3.5. So good again. And top end comp set for all the competitors. So across the board, we just saw this massive improvement in all the different sets, the different KPI sets. Now, it's important to note that the goal of this campaign was engagement and reach and follower growth. It was not hit the demo button. Not on my watch, because it's so unlikely that somebody is going to see one of your LinkedIn posts and click get a demo here button. Like it's a needle in a haystack. It's not going to happen. What you want is to gain trust. You want to humanize your company. You want to position yourself as experts. Okay, trust, position yourself as experts, awareness. It's all about awareness. So we exceeded the goals on all of that, and we're really happy with it. And yeah, I think it was a really good case study, and I feel very lucky that I had the support of the management to do that, because lots of management are scared of that. They want posts, but the management were like, absolutely not. We're happy for you to do your thing, and the support of the team. So these things, again, marketing cannot succeed in isolation. It has to be a company-wide effort to put forward a strong, smart face of a company that drives growth.
Absolutely. And you mentioned product push. Don't people buy from other people that they trust?
Absolutely. And trust is one thing, and you want to make yourself, we said it before, a no-brainer. You want to make yourself a no-brainer. Who you're going to choose, if you've seen a company online repeatedly, you're going to naturally, it's just human marketing. A lot of it's just about human psychology. You're naturally going to start to trust them.
Big time.
Trust so that they pop up in your mind when the time is right. So yeah, absolutely. People.
So I have a very simple yet very refreshing outcome or takeaway from multiple partners of ours that have leaned in, have trusted the inbound marketing methodology. And this is where it's difficult because CEOs and founders want immediate results. Like you just said, it's not a click the demo. We don't buy that way anymore. That's not how we buy products. They don't buy their products that way. So again, it blows me away where I don't know if they think that their products or services different than the ones that they're buying themselves. It's not at all. The higher price your product or service and the more implementation and onboarding, the more trust is required. It's a process. So those that have said, we get this, we understand it, we're fully committed to it, and it can take up to a year to see full results. But once you do, and this is extremely exciting for sellers, they no longer have to cold prospect. They don't have to pick up the phone. They don't have to send, hey, just check it up, or what's the classic line? Hope that your wing's doing well, which is immediately smells cold outreach. That is extremely enticing. I put myself in a new business development seat, but I've never been comfortable on trying to pick up the phone and strike up a conversation and maybe get them into a situation where they don't buy my product. That's just never been a way that I've rolled. That's why I mentioned before why inbound, when HubSpot rolled this out, I'm like, man, this makes a lot of sense. And this is more my line is So if you can dedicate a year into that and really fulfill and walk through all the non-negotiables of they ask you answer, and there's 5 of them, go all in, your sales team can benefit of, I like what you guys are saying. I saw your video. I'd like to talk more about it. I have some questions for you that we're struggling with the same problem. When you jump on a call with those type of responses that you're getting, that sales process is like smooth sailing, right? Suddenly it opens up a whole different conversation where you've got to start at the ground floor. They already know who you are, just like what we started this conversation with. It's a whole different notion of a sales process. And unfortunately, companies will tiptoe into it and they'll go a couple of weeks and they don't see the results right away. And then they'll throw in the towel and then they end up hit the spam button again. It's spray and pray and make sure something hits, and not knowing that actually is doing more harm to them than they good.
Yeah.
And we were talking about things to avoid. So maybe I'm going to share a little bit on that same level. Could you see that some of the old tactics 1.0 is actually doing harm to their growth?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So anything that is doing the opposite of trust is doing harm, right?
Yes.
Distrust. Avoid distrust sounds so obvious. Yeah, like crappy outreach and spammy emails. And I regularly come into contact with companies that they just want lead gen. They're like, I don't care what you do. I just want lead gen. I just want lead gen. And I say, look, lead gen, of course, is the ultimate KPI because we want to grow the company, but it's not 1 + 1 = 2. And they will end up going and contracting these like dodgy websites that say they'll get you 100 billion leads, and you're not allowed to download, by the way, some information from LinkedIn. Like, you can actually get banned. Be careful what you use. Not all programs that are compatible with LinkedIn allows. Anyway, and then spam everybody, and you burn those bridges.
Big time.
Once you've done it, you've burned those bridges, so just don't do it.
In fact, hold on, Zoe.
Yeah.
Okay, how many times when you get an email that says, oh, you're doing well this week, right? You don't respond, and then they send you another one and it says, oh, I'm just bumping this up to your inbox. Can we jump on the phone this week? Each one of those you get, how annoyed do you get, and how much further away from you would you ever do business with them?
Yeah, I don't get annoyed about that because
Oh my God, I do.
I'm not a sweat the small stuff person.
You're much more patient than I am. And if they're respectful and again, if they were helpful, I might go, wow, this is interesting. But they're asking for 15 minutes of my time. They're asking something for me. And then they're starting to get really pushy at it. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. I'd much rather people come to me as a professional than any. And on a personal level, that's been working. So I guess I'm my own case study as well, in a way. But
exactly.
I did want to, as you were speaking, I was thinking, do you know what? I do have another case study to give you, which is, because we've spoken about company pages, but we've not really spoken about the importance of personal branding for execs and CEOs and founders within the context, right, of representing a product. So I do have another client who I've been working with since last September. And I was on the call with them last week, and I said, oh, they're really happy. And they was like, I'm so happy. So I said, I know it's difficult, but do you think you could quantify, apart from the impressions and the reach and engagement that we've been getting, which is fantastic, do you think you could quantify the effect that it's had on your brands? And they said, yeah, I can actually. I said, I don't know if it's connected. I'm thinking, okay, let's go. I don't know if it's connected, but we used to get like one inbound lead on the website every 2 to 3 weeks. And now we're getting like 1 or 2 every week. And I'm like, it's connected. It's 100% connected. We can't prove it, but what were you doing now in the last 6 months that you weren't doing in the 6 months before? You were working on your personal brand. There's a whole strategy behind that. We've been working on it. Great feedback about their profile. Wow, it looks so good. And I said, what about on LinkedIn? Have you had people reach out? And they said, I think in the month of January, I've had about 12 people reach out to me on LinkedIn. They're not all direct, I want to work with you, but they're interested in what I'm doing. So like, those are results. I think if there's no demo button involved and there's no UTM from the post to the demo button, we can't prove it.
Oh my God, Zoe. Yeah. I don't know if you follow Chris Walker he was Refine Labs, and he talks about this whole notion of dark social. Half of sales activity cannot be tracked, and hospitality is obsessed with attribution tracking. It's broken. The only way to get actual real results is you have to ask them. Nothing can be tracked anymore. DMs, all of that stuff is all dark. You can't track it. So everybody starts, we're not going to go in all that. We can't track it. They're missing out. So don't be obsessed with tracking results. What you had just mentioned is a fantastic example of that.
Yeah, you have to talk to your sales team, ask what's going on.
Totally.
That wasn't going on before, hey? Then you get down to it.
Absolutely. Hey, before we break here, and again, I know I can sit here and talk with you all day, but before we break, could you tell me what you're up to now and where can people find you? I know I can find you, but...
You can find me on LinkedIn every 24 hours a day.
Yes.
I'm out. No, I do actually have LinkedIn breaks at the weekend. I try not to use it at the weekend because I try and keep it very structured.
Yeah.
What am I up to? I'm supporting people on LinkedIn. So if you need help with your company page, if you need help with your personal brand, come to me or just look at my content and get some tips. But more importantly, I am a gain advisor, as you rightly pointed out at the beginning of the session. So I'm doing fractional CMO-ship for Gain, but we're also doing company strategy, company branding, messaging and positioning, and all the above, apart from everything else that the other Gain advisors do, which is a lot. I love working for Gain. I think for me, the special sauce is the special interdisciplinary teams that you get to work on that have an AI specialist and a business development specialist and a marketing specialist in this kind of mix that's specific to whichever client comes in. I love that. I love working in teams. I love working in cross-functional teams. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. All
Beautiful.
Good.
Awesome. Loved this conversation. It was incredible, as I knew it would be, but you brought a lot to the table. So I appreciate your time and hope you don't mind me bothering you for round 2.
Always here for the chat, Cory.
Awesome.
Real pleasure.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a great week.
Thank you. Take care now. Bye.